For me personally, this has been a very enriching and a fulfilling journey, because I've been a great believer in sustainability of water, energy, and waste management, because I believe these three are very crucial aspects of if you want to build a sustainable society. And yes, we've been seeing this havoc which has been caused because of this water issues in some parts of Bangalore, and it's really a shame, because I think simple things could have avoided this. And I hope that this throws light and gets much more awareness from people on how to manage this. For me, why I started this was when I came back to India just before COVID. And, we live in a beautiful place, which is about 55 acres in North Bangalore near Devanalli. What I found was, despite having a rainwater harvesting tank with a capacity of 1.5 crore liters, can you believe? And Vijay was telling me probably it's one of the largest for a housing complex in Karnataka, probably, or even the whole of South India, maybe. What I found was Sobha was spending, and therefore charging the association, over 35 lakhs per year on buying water. Can you believe? Over 35 lakhs. It is a crime that you're buying water. I totally agreed with him that it was a criminal activity, and we were partaking in a crime of allowing this sort of a thing to go unchallenged under our nose. So we took upon this, and it was, very important to take everyone in the community along with us. While we started off in early 2021, consumer behavior change takes time, and we need to be patient and we need to be perseverant to bring about the behavioral change. And these things don't happen, in a few days or few weeks. It's a concerted effort. Once people buy into the philosophy of it, then it becomes easy. And then you will be generating hundreds of other people who become warriors in their own way and try to manage this. So we spent almost, can you believe, 8-9 months just to make presentations to the whole host of committee members in the complex, trying to sell the need for doing this. And we did it in two aspects. One was, how do we augment the water supply? And second was, how do we manage consumption of water? So that both of these are important in these two big buckets of augmenting water and then consuming. How do we ensure that consumption is also taken care of? So these were the two big things we started off with, and spent a lot of time taking them through the nuts and bolts of it. And what happened was, first I wanted him to come and inspect the whole 55 acres of area and tell us what is happening, etc. Because he was telling straight away that, the water is not getting trapped because there's a lot of wastage happening for a number of reasons. And because it is spread over 55 acres, it's got about 17,000 trees planted, which is fantastic. And that was one of the promise which Sobha made when they started construction of this in 2009, that there will be so many trees that will be planted in the complex. And that had its own set of issues because of the dried leaves coming and clogging up the drainage system. And there is a lot of, wastage which was happening on the leakages, etc., etc. So we tackled it on a number of different fronts. I have some charts, but I just want to set the context. So that was basically the background to it. We had a phenomenal capacity of a rainwater tank, which is 1.5 crore liters. We were spending more than 35 lakhs per annum. And at the same time, people were not aware of this because we did not have water meters in the individual houses. And therefore, I've always been a great believer in the whole economics of it. When you don't pay for something, you don't value that commodity, as simple as that. Only when you start paying for something, you value that particular thing for its price.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we said was, this is called Sobha Lifestyle Legacy, the place where we live. It is to make Sobha Lifestyle a sustainable complex by being water neutral and hopefully water positive. And we are doing a similar exercise on the energy part of it, and also the waste management. Some exciting work is happening on that also, but today the focus is on the water aspect. And we genuinely believe that we brought it to water neutral in a span of almost just 6 months. And I believe that we should be able to take it up to being water positive in next year, which will be a phenomenal achievement to really become. This is not about making money, but it's about a philosophy that, from spending more than 35 lakhs per annum to being able to generate some money for the association where we can invest meaningfully in other aspects of sustainability is a great thing to happen, for the complex. The next chart. And so he started off this whole exercise in the first half of 21. And then we progressed through a robust consultative process, which I mentioned to you. And it had different work streams, as I said, in terms of augmenting supply and then also taking care of the consumption. And that's why the installing water meters was a big part of it, where now we have told each villa owners, and thanks to Murali, who's on the call, he's supplying us the digital meters. What happened was we did not have digital meters before, and no one was bothering about it because to lift that sump, it's very heavy, and even take the readings, people were not doing it because people were not paying for it. So now we've got the water meters being installed. Already 75 villas will be installed by this month, and we're going to charge people, which we got approved in the committee, hopefully from 1st of October or 1st of November, to charge people for the water they consume. Just like the electricity they consume, there is an energy meter. And then what we did was the entire sill chamber, because of the huge area of 55 acres I mentioned to you, Sobha unfortunately did not do a good job of trying to make the drainage system very effective, particularly with so many trees around in the complex. It required a different design of the drainage, the sill chamber. So that also was touched upon. And then we did ozonization and UV filtration to ensure that we are able to utilize the rainwater for the individual houses, etc. And the following pages, I will quickly, take you through some of these things. For many of you, obviously, you're very, very knowledgeable, much more than I have knowledge on this. It's my own passion for this. I know that from a subject matter expertise, all of you in the call are much more knowledgeable. But I really want to, compliment each one of you in your own way of bringing about a change in the society. And that is remarkable. That's something to be really admired and applauded. The next chart. So the first thing was he mentioned, see, as you know, that North Karnataka is a water deficient table. Water table is pretty poor. And we have 3 borewells which have been dug below 1,000 feet. And what he said is there's no point in going for a 4th well, because there's also going to be a legislative thing of banning borewells in North Karnataka and North Bangalore rather. And therefore, what he said is, given there's so much water, why don't you go into an open well digging? So we started off with 1 well. It is remarkable at about, I think, Vijay, about 50 feet, we got the water. So I think that is a remarkable thing which we started off. We said, let's experiment. There's no harm in trying out something. So I believe that, and now we want to put 2 more wells. But this is, I believe we'll get at least 8 to 10,000 liters. While it is still early days on this, we are working on how to improve the supply to more like 8 to 10,000 liters as far as the open well is concerned. So this is the first thing which we did on augmenting the supply. The next chart. So this is what we did in the V-wire injection well, which is, I learned a lot talking to Vijay on this, because we have a bore well, and this was a new technology or a system which enables better, how the groundwater, even during summer months, how do we manage the water table better. So this V-wire injection has been done in the existing bore wells, which is a fantastic thing, because we are able to now augment and consistently get close to 100,000 liters for each of these bore wells pumped out. And the most, of course, the acid test for it will come during the summer, the next year's summer, when we believe that the water table will be augmented. And now, thanks to the copious rains we've had this year, we've completely stopped using the bore wells. I said, let the water table continue to rise, and we don't touch that. And we're using everything from the rainwater tank to utilize, because currently at the rate of water inlet we are getting now, 1.5 crore liter is getting filled up in every 3 days. So there is no need to even touch the bore wells. So this is done for all the 3 bore wells. The 3 numbers of injection wells have been created nearby to the existing bore wells. So that is another thing which we did to augment the supply. The next chart. So these are some of the pictures you can see. They worked around it, and to do it in a proper manner, in a nice way, and they completed the job, because it had to be finished and done in a manner which doesn't spoil the topography of the land there. So these are some pictures. The next chart. So this is the sill pipe installation to bore well, which is one of the things during Villa 31. So which we started off on the 25th of this year on the water pumping and the rejuvenation of the existing bore well, which was not in use. This was not in use because of the water table having gone down. And thanks to this, now we started using this. That itself shows that the system works. And people were very, very happy that by taking this thing where one of the bore wells was not working, not functional, has been brought and made to function. Next chart. This is what I mentioned about the silt chamber design. Because of the nature of the land here with 17,000 trees planted, and they're all trees which are 10 years old, more than 10 years old. So there's a lot of leaves being there, particularly during the autumn time, etc. So what he did was he studied the whole thing. Two things were done. One was the fiber reinforced plastic, which was placed as the top cover, which is going to be, weatherproofing and for a very, very long time for the coming decades. And to ensure that any silt or the leaves formation do not go into the drainage system. So he did there's some pictures after that, how he designed it in such a way that it does not get sucked into the drainage system. So that was the second thing which Vijay had recommended, which was implemented. The next chart will show you some pictures. Yeah, you can see the FRP which was there, and the
existing silt chambers were there. We deepened them and took pipe to the top, so that it was siphoning effect, wherein all the leaves, dust and debris goes and settles, and only water rises and then comes. And there was a covering on the pipe also. So we put a grating on the pipe, so that what happens is, now earlier what used to happen is, because the tank is there, rainwater harvesting tank, because all these used to go, the muck used to go and settle down in the tank. And cleaning that 1.5 crore liters tank is a big this one. Even the capacity would come down. So we thought cleaning these silt chambers are very easy. Anybody can clean it. The maintenance team can very easily clean it. So we opened that. Actually when earlier it was there, it was concreted at the bottom. So not water doesn't used to percolate. What we did was, the bottom concrete, we removed the bottom concrete and made it deeper, so that it can have the silt and dust and debris at the bottom, which can be removed later, and then the water will rise and come into this, sir. So that is how it was redesigned, sir, so that we avoid the silting up of the main tank.
And we have trained the people in the maintenance now during the heavy rains. Almost every second day they clean these silts, so because that way we can ensure that nothing gets clogged. Next chart. So this is a rainwater tank, 1.5 crore liters. It's like a football field. Actually, it is the size of a football field. So that is the entire size of this rainwater tank which we have. So I must say credit to them in 2009 when it was envisaged. This was an integral part of the complex. So I must say credit to Sobha for having conceived it this way. So this is an enormously large capacity which we have to make us self-sustaining as a community. Yeah, next chart. Now we come to the, that was the augmentation part. Now this is about how do we ensure we are able to make people accountable for the water they consume. As I said, I'm a great believer that in the laws of economics, that if you don't pay for something, you don't value that item. So when Sobha installed the water meters, they didn't think through that carefully. It was some analog meters which was below, and all of this had errors in consumption. When we tested it, it was giving some 30% higher. So when we brought this, Murli came into the picture on the digital meters, etc. Two things we found out. We actually calibrated the digital meters with the existing analog meters and found out that the analog meters were overcharging by almost 25-30%. We did a continuous thing by installing both the meters in the same pipe. The second thing was, the problem with the analog meter is every month if someone has to go and lift that heavy thing, which is which is almost like the manhole, which is almost like 50 kgs. People were just not doing it, and there was no charge which was being done, so people were not utilizing it. So what we said is that we convinced through the committee for everyone to invest in this digital water meter, and they can now monitor it to their mobile phone or on the web, and they will know their water consumption. And as we said, that we have agreed on the rate which will be charged per liter, which was similar to the rate we were using to buy water from the outside. And therefore, what we said is that I think it is a fair thing now people start charging, because we found out that based on international consumption standards on a household of X number of people, and of course there's a lot of garden area, the consumption should be X, but what was happening is it was significantly over X. So we believe that this is going to help us to control the consumption when people start paying for the water they start consuming from October 1st is broadly where we're looking at. Worst case, it will start from November 1st by when all the water meters are installed in the villas. So this is a big initiative because each one had to invest in the water meters to the tune of about 25,000. And what it means is, imagine they have committed on this. So once they have made a commitment to this, I think it is going to be the game changer has happened already by giving this commitment on the water meter. So I think that is the big thing that has happened in convincing them to pay for the water meter from their own this thing. And that is going to really have a big impact in the consumption in the coming months and years. The next chart. Here's some pictures of this water meter. I think Murli and his team have been working passionately. And that also we learned from the initial installation of water meters, how to make it, do it properly and how to cover it nicely. So now the finished product of the water meter, I must say, Murli has come out pretty well. And it looks very nice and elegant in individual villas. And, the color he has chosen and everything is nice. So that is now done for about, I think, 50, 60 villas, Murli, I think. And then he's working hard to see how he can expedite it in the coming weeks to complete the majority of it by September. Next chart. This is what we said about the ozonization and the UV treated water. So this has been installed, and I mean, you're all familiar. I'm talking to the convert on ozonization and the UV thing. So this is something which, has been done. And we are now seeing the benefits because we tested the water pre and post, and again, sent it across to all the villa owners to give them the confidence that this is being checked and monitored in terms of the quality of water reading. And therefore, they don't have to fear as far as the water that is coming into their villas. So this is the other thing which we did to improve the quality of water that is being consumed. The next chart. This is the ultraviolet disinfection system, which all of you are again familiar with. I think, it's again good that because no chemicals are used for treatment. And as I said, we've completely stopped purchasing water from the 1st of July. And that's something which is a huge thing because, as I said, we were spending almost 35 lakhs per annum. Last year, between July and December, we spent 19 lakhs. And to this time, we've stopped buying water from July 1st. And these contractors were pretty upset that why did we stop buying water from them? So can you believe that's the amount of quantum of thing? And this is something which will pay back for itself, in a remarkably short period, because this is a no-brainer more than the economics of it. But I think it's a phenomenal thing for the sustainability which we are looking at. Yeah, the next one. So these are some of the pictures of the installation of the UV system which has been installed. Yeah, the next. Now, in terms of the future plans, this is the last slide, is that, as I said, that we are quite encouraged with the open well, the type of water we have tapped into. We are looking at 2 more open wells to augment the water supply. So even if we get 10,000, 20,000 liters from these open wells, that is going to augment the water supply. And the other thing, what we found out from a consumption is the gardening uses the maximum water because, as I told you, with this 55 acres, there is a massive amount of gardens. This is not a very highly dense construction. And therefore, there's a lot of open space with gardens. And there we are looking at, because of the sprinklers, obviously, you can control the water that is, dispensed. So that is the other thing which we are looking at as this second stage, to put the advanced sprinklers with high pressure and minimize the water consumption, which is the biggest chunk of water that is being used for gardening purposes. So this is what I had to share, and I'm happy to, with my limited knowledge, answers any questions which you have